Hi, I'm Lauren Power, and today I'm going to be presenting the findings of Greenwood, Smith, Jones, Pearman and Wykes from their 2016 study, Virtual Shopping, a viable alternative to direct assessment of real-life function. This study aimed to assess whether virtual reality methods were an appropriate substitute for direct physical assessment of real-life functioning for individuals with schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a long-term disorder characterized by a distortion of reality, commonly in the form of delusions and hallucinations. Its primary features include impairments in functioning, which can stretch across a range of areas including social, occupational, and communal activity. Moreover, in chronic schizophrenia, recovery of everyday functioning is not only limited, but also increases substantially. Currently, cognitive factors alone can only explain 40% of functional impairment, and there is a clear and pressing need to increase the understanding and incorporation of measures that assess function and real-world performance. One such task is the supermarket shopping task. This requires participants to shop in a local supermarket whilst an observer records accuracy and efficiency. While promising in helping to begin to understand underlying mechanisms of functional impairment, use of this task is currently limited by the time and complexity of real-life observation. In this context, virtual reality may be able to act as a more accessible means of functional capacity measurement, having already been used to assess a variety of everyday performances, including in individuals with depression and anxiety. Accordingly, the current study used a virtual supermarket task in conjunction with a real-life supermarket shopping task to investigate whether associations exist across different types of virtual reality shopping measures and separately across the real-life shopping measures. Also, whether virtual reality performance is associated with equivalent real-life performance, and whether virtual reality assessment adds additional explanatory power to the prediction of real-life performance over and above other cognitive measures. Real-life and virtual reality shopping were measured alongside key cognitive performance measures and social cognition. It was predicted that processes such as working memory and strategy use would be related to both real-life and consequently also virtual reality performance, whilst other processes such as social cognition would relate only to real-life performance, and others still, such as visuospatial memory, would relate only to virtual performance. It was also predicted that overall, virtual reality shopping function would correlate with real-life shopping function. Participants were a referred sample of 50 people with a DSM-4 diagnosis of schizophrenia, aged between 18 to 65 years with a pre-morbid IQ above 70. 43 people completed all the performance measures. The virtual reality supermarket shopping test was presented on a computer and was selected to simulate the real-world task with measures of accuracy and efficiency assessed for performance. The participant entered a virtual supermarket with graphically presented shelving and arrays of goods by category in different aisles. A shopping list was presented on paper to cue selection of 10 appropriate items or pieces of information. Avatars mimicked a real-life shopping environment here too. The real-life supermarket shopping test shares the same methodology as the virtual task, but instead of sitting at a computer, the participant navigates a real supermarket while the assessor follows to assess function. In both the virtual and real-life conditions, accuracy was measured by the total number of correct items selected. Moreover, efficiency was measured by the time taken to complete the task and the number of aisles entered above the minimum required when using the most efficient route. Negative cognitive symptoms of schizophrenia were also observed to evaluate their effect on real-life and virtual reality function. So, firstly, it was found that accuracy and efficiency were not correlated within measures and that they didn't have a significant effect on one another. Secondly, it is interesting to observe that participants were faster and more accurate in virtual reality when compared to real life. Thirdly, and a key finding from this study, was that performance in virtual reality relates to performance in real life. Small to moderate correlations in this area were found between real life and virtual accuracy, and moderate to large correlations were found between real life and virtual efficiency measures. Moreover, while correlations were found between real life performance and social cognition, no significant correlations were found between virtual reality performance and cognitive measures. Moreover, this model was significant and explained substantially more variance than a model with cognition alone in predicting 58% of variance in real-life efficiency after controlling for IQ. So, returning to the original question as to whether a virtual reality approach could be an appropriate substitute for the shopping list assessment task for individuals with schizophrenia. The correlations between virtual and real-life measures range from small to moderate for accuracy to moderate to very large for efficiency measures both within and between tasks. This suggested similar shopping processes across these two tasks. The mean scores, however, were lower in real life. It is possible that this reflected the greater complexity of the real-life environment, which had more food choices, more distractions, and more people when compared to virtual reality. It is interesting that no significant correlations were found between virtual reality performance and cognitive measures, as this does not support the hypothesized outcome. Indeed, these suggest that virtual reality may be a better independent predictor of functional capacity measurement. Virtual and cognitive measures together explain nearly 60% of shopping efficiency in the real world. This is a significant improvement on the 40% general predictive power of cognitive measures alone on functional outcome. In considering the links between the virtual and real-life shopping tasks, hypotheses were generally supported, and this study concluded that there is evidence to suggest that functional shopping measures of virtual reality can aid in improving predictions of real-life performance. Virtual reality functional shopping measures may enhance predictions of real-life performance over and above existing cognitive test procedures and provide a more time-efficient method for evaluating real-life outcomes. So, virtual reality has a number of strengths in that it allows for greater standardization of the shopping center, and so performance can be measured with better reliability and validity. In future, variables within the shopping center could be altered to assess specific areas of function. Virtual reality methods are also time and resource efficient, and these are benefits that would pass on to clinicians and patients. Virtual reality also allows for easy disengagement from the situation should an adverse situation arise. This is not possible when shopping in the real world, and therefore this design may allow for greater accessibility and assessment of individuals who were put off by the idea of entering busy public spaces when not necessary, or those who have a more severe diagnosis. This study also faces a number of limitations. The virtual shopping centre was not as variable as real life. This could lead to virtual methods being less predictive of actual day-to-day function as the real-life task. This could very well be the reason that overall mean scores were lower in real life than in virtual reality for this project. Another explanation for this, and a further limitation of this study, was that while negative cognitive symptoms were taken into account, psychomotor slowing, a common symptom of schizophrenia, was not. In this sense, while the computer-based shopping task may be useful in measuring the impact of schizophrenia on an individual's daily cognitive function, it may very well be missing an assessment of the individual as a whole. Future studies could address this by replicating the present task with more mobile technology, such as use of the Oculus Rift headset with a compatible treadmill such as the virtualizer. Finally, it is not yet clear whether function in the tested virtual reality methods, which were designed for use in the UK, remain consistent across cultures. Both schizophrenia and shopping rituals can differ based on cultural environment and upbringing, so this is important for future research to address. Future studies should consider whether change in virtual reality leads to change in real life. If so, the virtual reality shopping task has the potential to be developed as a standardized cognitive training tool. Future research should also address whether performance in the virtual reality shopping task generalizes across to domains above and beyond shopping function. Moreover, as this is a relatively new area of research, correlations between real life and virtual reality should be tested with larger samples to ensure consistency. Overall, this study revealed promising findings for the development of virtual reality methods in the treatment of schizophrenia.